I wanted to have a chat today with Angela Baltes about a number of different things, but she's someone that's inspired me along the way when I'm looking at the traditional data scientist, because she's become a data scientist in a really unconventional way. And I'm hoping that we can learn a little bit more about her journey, and that perhaps might inspire people who aren't necessarily in a typical computer science, mathematical, analytical type education setting or degree to perhaps even think about coming into data science or data analytics. So I guess welcome to Preparing the Unprepared, Angela.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I'm hoping we can get a little bit of an insight into your background kind of briefly. Angela's a data scientist currently, and like I said, has come from a slightly different path or journey. So maybe you can kind of briefly introduce yourself, Angela.
Okay, well, I currently work for the University of New Mexico in the Office of Institutional Analytics, and there we really, our main core of what we do is reporting for state and local government on our, student, staff numbers, and etc. But also we have other activities outside of that includes analytics, data visualization, predictive analytics, I guess would be included in analytics. Mm-hmm. And so it's a really interesting role that many would have not even considered. I didn't know about this type of work existed at a university before I started doing it. Before that, I was working in healthcare environments. I was a data analyst, essentially, and doing lots of different activities. Some places we did predictive analytics. Some places it was a lot of data visualization. Some places, especially when I worked in a clinical environment, we were doing a lot of process improvement, which was really interesting to see the life cycle of how something worked from when a patient comes into the door to when they're discharged. So being a patient before, I guess you never think about, there's a whole process to this. And so I did some of that. I've really done a lot of different things, and I've learned a lot of different things. And I even did, at one point, I was even taking notes for meetings. And I realized that's something you pick up things when you do like little tasks like that. Okay. You learn something about what other people are doing. So I am an all-purpose data person, and I've seen pretty much every end of the spectrum in data environments. So that's where I'm at right now.
Awesome. I think the most interesting part about your journey is the fact that you started in criminology. So just not even, when I think about data science, it's not even something that even springs to mind. I don't think I've ever seen anyone come from that background before.
Yeah, so a lot of people, when they think of data scientists, they think of physicists, physics, math, physical sciences, so criminology is something that just doesn't come up. And that's the first thing people have asked me is like, how did you go from there to here? So criminology is actually very data centric. You're looking at crime data. And I think that this degree was popular because I've met a lot of people roughly around the early 2000s that was studying alongside me. And I think that a lot of these forensic shows kind of like spurred our interest. It spurred mine. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I want to study like criminal data. That's criminal data, crime data. So yeah, it's very data centric, very heavy in statistics.
Wow. Okay.
You're tracking crime over time. You want to see the change. You're looking at area, a lot of geographic type of analyses in that as well. So now there's more tools that criminologists can use. But I didn't pursue criminology beyond the bachelor's degree. I don't think that was available at the time. And during that time in my life, I was like, I'm not sure what I really want to do. Okay. But that's how I connect the dots from criminology to what I'm doing now. Data. That was the whole basis of that degree. And this was before data was such a hype. like in the mid 2000s. It's definitely not what it is right now.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess the more you actually think about that particular degree and what's involved, it does make a lot of sense. So was it the topic area, or was it the data that actually interested you?
It was the topic for me.
Mm.
Learning about deviant behavior, learning about what can drive crime, lots of sociology classes, lots of statistics classes. And those statistics classes, we did everything by hand. And it's really because the instructors felt that you need to know how to do this if you don't have the tools. But I just found the content of those courses so fascinating. It was kind of eye-opening. We read a lot of peer-reviewed journals. So kind of learned about what drives crime in certain areas, and learned about people, learned about circumstances, things that I guess I just never considered before. So the content was really great.
Amazing. And you, firstly, you recently graduated, right?
I did. I graduated my PhD in biomedical informatics.
Wow. And out of interest, how, obviously taking the topic aside, how different was the learning from that particular degree to the criminology degree? Was it still the kind of same processes around data, or did you have to learn a lot more?
The process was, the whole foundation was data, but it was health data. So after my criminology degree, at some point I found myself working in health environments, so the type of data I was looking at was different. But by the time I did the PhD, I had experience. So it was different for me because I viewed this as I'm applying things that I've learned in my career with my education. Before, with my bachelor's degree, I was just I didn't really have any reference point. So having some experience really does make a difference, I think, in a PhD program.
Yeah, sure. Do you think, and this is an interesting topic, do you think a data scientist needs a PhD degree? Or
I don't think so. I pursued this degree because I've really wanted to. I wanted to expand my knowledge a bit more. How I see problems is a little bit different. How I approach problems is a little different. But I don't see it as necessary. I actually think there's so many resources online now, so many different avenues one can take if they want to learn, that I don't see a PhD as totally necessary.
Okay. So having got that recently, you've been working throughout, right? So you've been doing your academics. Wow. I'm interested because from a recruitment standpoint, I've never been asked by a hiring manager to go and find someone with a criminology background. And I don't know if that's just because they don't know how data-driven that particular course is. But how did you then go? Yeah, maybe. But how did you go and get a technical job as a data analyst whilst having that bachelor's degree?
So I have that bachelor's degree, and then I have two master's degree, one in public administration, which is actually another data-driven degree.
Really? Okay.
But in a certain setting like state and local government.
Okay.
I remember the entire degree, there were some classes, not the entire degree, but certain courses where we would read peer-reviewed journals and really pull that content apart. So I learned a lot in that particular program, especially around public speaking. So there's public administration, data-driven type of degree, and then I have an information technology degree.
Okay.
So there's those two. But then my bachelor's is still criminology, which some people go, what's this about? So I got these technical roles because I shown that I had some aptitude. Also, I had a portfolio, and I think that really does help. If you don't necessarily have the background people think of, show that you have those skills. So put together a portfolio.
Interesting.
Coming to the interview with that kind of, it's like, okay, she may not have the math degree that we think all data scientists should have, but she obviously is doing this. So, and I also think the information technology degree did open the door a little bit. So I don't want to say necessarily go and get a degree, but either prove that you have the aptitude for this by with a portfolio or some sample of your work, or there is, you know, the option of a degree, but it's kind of, or some sort of learn this through other resources.
Yeah.
So so I kind of see it as, you know, one of the three: learn it, or show it with some sort of education, and or show that you can do it.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for knowledge sharing, and I think you are as well. You know, you've got quite a few different publications out there on LinkedIn. You're pretty active when it comes to engaging with people in the community. Have those things helped? So actually being active on LinkedIn, has that helped you along your career journey, or is that just something you enjoy doing?
It has helped because I've been able to speak to other professionals, learn from other professionals. Here in Albuquerque, I'm a little isolated.
Yeah.
You know, outside of our small group, I don't really talk with a lot of people. We do occasionally have events here, but they don't happen, like I said, they're occasionally. So talking to other professionals, I've been able to get other perspectives. I've been able to see how other people perform their work. I've been able to look at other portfolios, and we even talk about things that are not necessarily data science. So LinkedIn has been a great resource for me, and so I've been using it as intentionally as I can, not just post funny memes on it. And you know, LinkedIn, if you use it, you know, intentionally, you can get a lot of great value out of it.
Yeah, I agree. I certainly have gained a better understanding of data science generally. But what I've realized is that there's so many people that are actually just willing to give you their time or to help. There's a whole bunch of people that I'm kind of, you included, that I'm going through these podcasts with or these live broadcasts with, and it's just been really, really good for me and my network. So thanks for that, and you know, being someone that's actually open to sharing that information. I've touched a lot on diversity, and I kind of, what really inspires me about your profile is that diversity comes also from having this kind of wealth of knowledge from lots of different domains. So I guess what I'd like to know is how did you make the decision? Because it sounds like you were slightly confused in the sense of your academics, or was there actually like a very clear journey from going from criminology to information technology to data science, or was you just still really unsure throughout, like, what do I actually want to do?
So yeah, data and analytics was not a career path that I actually even knew about when I was studying criminology. So in a sense, I kind of fell into this career. I mean, I found that I loved it, but I also found I had some aptitude for it. So there was a point, like in 2013, that there was so many data analytics roles open, and that's what kind of jobs I kept getting called for.
Okay.
I literally just thought, well, I'll interview for them, and I kept getting offers. So it wasn't a clear path for me. I did criminology. I thought that was what I wanted to do. That didn't work out like I hoped. Did public administration. Also didn't work out like I hoped. And then around the information technology degree, that's roughly when the data analytics jobs started opening up. It was almost like things lined up just right.
Yeah.
And I was there, so I just jumped on it. I would like for other people to perhaps be a little bit more intentional about their careers than I was.
Oh, okay. So you would have a bit more of a structured plan, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely don't just fall into things. But I think that also being flexible and being willing to change things up a bit if you need to, that's actually not too bad of a thing to embrace. So for me, if I was rigid and stuck to a certain path, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be enjoying what I do as much. So I was fluid, and also I was just I kind of just went, well, let me try this. Yeah, so now that people know that this is a career path, you can plan for it.
Mm-hmm. Would you, taking that aside, is there anything else that you would have done differently?
Yeah, when I was an undergraduate student, I changed my major a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I think I didn't realize that I could have. Well, uh, I'll say this: I come from a pretty, also, despite the degree, I come from a very non-traditional background. I didn't finish high school technically. I have a GED,
Oh, wow.
and so yeah, I started college pretty unprepared. Um, I think that I wish that I would have done a little bit more research about degree programs. I kind of wish going, in retrospect, that I would have been a little bit more confident about what I could have done, because I could have done a lot, actually. Not that I'm sad about the criminology degree, but I think that a lot of degree programs scared me because at that time I just didn't think I had it in me to complete it. And I received some pretty bad advisement when I was an undergraduate student. So going through, I started as an engineering major, but probably was one of like three women. And, they weren't that kind to women.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's better, but yeah, so I wish that I had a little bit more confidence, and I wish that I would have actually stuck with some of those other degree programs, because I the battle to get to here would have probably been a lot smoother if I had.
Yeah, it's interesting. And that's why I'm, again, a big advocate for people using social media, because you can effectively choose who you want to follow. And when you look at people like yourself, Eric Webber, Ben Taylor, Sidney Prescott, people that I've all had on the show, they're all actively sharing information and knowledge. And if you drop them a message and with a genuine question, they're going to help you. So I guess you probably didn't have LinkedIn as a platform to be able to do that before.
I don't know when LinkedIn started, but in 2004 and 5, I didn't know LinkedIn was a thing.
I'm
So
not entirely sure that it was. And if it was, I'm not sure it's used the way that it is now.
yeah.
I probably should know that, being that I spend half my life sitting on LinkedIn. Um, but yeah, generally speaking, I think there's definitely things you can do really, really early on, and there's no, you're not too young to be using LinkedIn and following the right people. So I guess there's not a huge amount more that I wanted to touch on at this point, Angela. I'm sure there's going to be topics that come up, but I just like the fact that you were able to get to where you are without a really clear path of doing that. And even when you were getting knocked down, or perhaps didn't feel as confident, or for whatever reason, you continued to move forward. I guess my question is, what motivated you to do that? Because a lot of people would have just hung up the gloves and said, okay, right, cool, that's not for me.
Yeah, and I actually had that thought so many times, that feeling of, gosh, I just don't feel worthy. And then unfortunately, you have other people just telling you, you don't belong here. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. I kept going. I'm one of those people that I don't believe in quitting something. I believe if I start something, I got to finish it. Even if I'm in pain, even if it hurts, even if I'm not totally sure what I'm doing, I'm going to finish this.
Okay.
So I finished it. And I'm glad that I did that. So it's that like value. You got to finish it. So that's honestly what really got me through. I had some people in my life that were academically, and they believed in academics, and they were just telling me just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And so just those one or two people, gosh, you never know, that it just means a lot. And really, there was that nagging voice that says they have to be wrong about you. Those people that are telling you that you don't belong, they have to be wrong. I want to see if they're wrong. So I'm willing to see this through just to see if they're wrong, and they were.
Love that. So what does the future hold for you then, Angela? No, you
Great question.
agree, and the world is your oyster.
Yeah, I'm pretty flexible. I'd like to say that I'm going to do this, and this, but right now I'm happy in my role with the university. I'll see how things play out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really enjoyed the degree program in biomedical informatics. I'd love to do more health type of research,
Okay.
and but right now I'm doing student research. So we want to really look at how we can better serve our students. So I just love the fact I'm working in data, and I'll see where that takes me. See
Well,
where the data takes me.
do you have a perspective on kind of like what's hot in the data science world right now? Things that we're going to see really take perhaps a leap and a bound within the next year or so.
The next year, well, I know that health data science is an area that is growing, that people are needed.
Yep.
Since 2015, I've just seen such a great need, and it just keeps growing. So, in my opinion, I think that need will still be there. So, health data science, you
I'd
can
agree
get
with
on that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But there's been a very clear demand for people in the space. Actually, so much so that there is quite a big emphasis on people coming from a health-based background, because some of the data that you work with is very specific. So, yeah, I mean, anyone who's thinking of getting into data science generally, I think health or pharma are two very, very exciting fields right now, and like you said, much needed.
Yes, there's literally, you can never have enough. The demand is like greater than the amount of data scientists and data analysts.
Yep, that's why I've still got a job.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God for that. Let's not get too many people wanting to do it, right?
Yes. Thank
Um,
goodness for jobs.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, Angela, I really appreciate your time. I'd love to touch on some other topics as we kind of watch your journey, and anyone who's watching right now, follow Angela on LinkedIn. She's got a whole bunch of her publications and actually some more detailed, I guess, wordings around her actual journey. So any questions, I'm sure, when she's available, she'll be happy to answer them. If you've got any questions for me as well about how you can actually get into data science or what perhaps a more conventional way into it is, feel free to reach out. But thanks so much for your time, Angela.
Thank you.
Awesome. Look forward to chatting.